In February 2026, the sky over Tehran erupted. The United States and Israel launched a massive, coordinated military assault, known as Operation Epic Fury. The primary objective of the decapitation strike was achieved almost immediately. Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed in the opening salvos. Within hours, American and Israeli leadership broadcast their justification to the globe. The claim was absolute. Iran was on the verge of fielding a nuclear weapon, and the threat to the United States was imminent. International capitals and news networks repeated this narrative without caveat. The sheer scale of the military violence was deemed acceptable by the public entirely because they believed there was no time left on the clock. A massive contradiction existed within the Pentagon, even as the first bombs left their silos. The U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency had already reviewed the data and concluded there was no credible evidence that Iran was actively building a nuclear device. International nuclear watchdogs reached the same conclusion. The International Atomic Energy Agency, which tracks global nuclear material, reported zero evidence of weaponization. When we look at the actual footprint of the targeted Iranian facilities leading up to the strike, the satellite telemetry shows routine industrial activity, far removed from the fever pitch of the political rhetoric. This created a massive discrepancy between the public case for war and the internal reality of the intelligence community. The absolute certainty of an imminent threat sat on a foundation of unproven data. While military planners were finalizing target packages, a separate reality was unfolding nearly 3,000 miles away in Geneva. Behind closed doors, mediators from Oman had spent months bridging the gap between Western diplomats and Iranian officials. They had finally secured the framework for a comprehensive settlement. Under the finalized terms, Iran agreed to physically transfer its entire enriched uranium stockpile out of the country, neutralizing immediate weapon capabilities. To guarantee compliance, they also consented to constant, unannounced international inspections at all nuclear and military sites. The stated goal of Operation Epic Fury, ensuring Iran could not build a bomb, had already been achieved through these diplomatic channels right as the fighter jets were taking off. To understand why a finalized peace deal was discarded, we have to look at the domestic reality of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In early 2026, the Prime Minister was facing intense pressure from ongoing criminal trials. He was actively fighting charges of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust in the Jerusalem District Court. This chart demonstrates the distraction war dynamic. As a leader's domestic approval rating plummets due to scandal, they can artificially generate national unity by rapidly escalating military rhetoric and instigating an external crisis. The United States executive branch was fully aware of the Geneva progress. President Trump used the ongoing peace talks as a deliberate smokescreen, keeping Iranian defenses lowered while utilizing secret Israeli intelligence to finalize target coordinates. A review of the munitions used reveals a scope that extended far beyond uranium enrichment sites. The primary targets were the political and military nerve centers of the Iranian state, pointing toward a primary objective of regime change. Diplomacy in Geneva presented a hurdle to this objective. The peace deal was discarded because it removed the external crisis these leaders required to maintain their standing at home. This strategy of choosing conflict over containment has a documented precedent. We can trace the same political maneuvering back to the unilateral withdrawal from the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. International inspectors confirmed Iran was fully complying with the limits on its nuclear program. Yet these political figures lobbied intensely to fracture that working agreement. Today, the individuals who oversaw Israel's defense during that period, former heads of the Mossad and top military generals, openly condemn the push to abandon the 2015 framework. They describe the choice to sacrifice a verified, functioning diplomatic framework for the sake of political posturing as a delusional decision, and characterize it as the worst strategic mistake in their nation's history. Operation Epic Fury stands as a war of choice. When the smoke cleared over Tehran in 2026, the global public was left with a narrative of necessity that the internal data simply did not support. This diagram illustrates a dangerous dynamic. When leaders bypass the intelligence community to declare an imminent threat, that claim must be weighed directly against the weight of their own domestic political vulnerabilities. Domestic deception often serves as the primary catalyst for global instability. Understanding the personal stakes of the leaders declaring an imminent threat is essential to discerning the true motives behind modern warfare. Share this video to help expose the facts.